And we are live. Hey, everybody. If you're on the live, give us a hashtag live. If you're on the replay, give us a hashtag replay. I am Haley Gray, and I have my good friend and co-accountant, CPA, partner in crime, Joe Dichiara. And today's topic is, has the IRS gone mad? So give us, some love if you're on our live stream, and let us know that you are out there. So there are, let's just say, one or two little changes that have happened in the last year or so with the IRS, between COVID and stimulus bills and PPP and stand on your head and click your heels, cross your eyes, stick out your tongue. How do you deal with all this stuff? How are your clients dealing with all this stuff?
It's, I'm doing this a long time, Haley. It's over 35 years, and I've gone through some really crazy situations with taxes, but this is off the charts. This is off the charts. And it's not, there's a lot of tax law changes. There's a lot of stuff that is really going to benefit millions of small business owners.
Right.
That's the good part. The troubling part right now is that the IRS is really broken. They were always broken. I mean, they were always underfunded. Nobody loves the IRS. My aunt worked there for over 25 years. But since COVID, it is literally, the machine is broken. Not the collection part. The collection actions are still going strong. And the problem is that between the post office and the IRS, not actually being, they're just messed up. How do you want me to put it? They're not getting the mail. When the mail is delivered, the IRS isn't opening it. So the whole part of the system is broken, and people are panicking. So just today, what I've been dealing with are people that didn't get their refunds or their stimulus payments, right? And there's no way to find out where they are. You can't go on the IRS website. I mean, you can, but if you go to where's my refund, it's not going to come back with any vital information that you're looking for. It's going to tell you that your information is incorrect. There's something wrong with the system, Haley. I mean, seriously wrong. And
yeah, and people that have submitted tax returns for last year, there are people who still have not gotten their returns.
So I have people that didn't get the 2019 refunds, but they got their 2020 refunds. And when you go on the IRS website, and this is scary, they actually say, listen, we're behind. They're actually
no joke.
Admitting it. They're like, we are processing the mail as it's received. So, and as it's received, right? Last week, I had a client. It took them 6 months just to respond to us. And the response was, we need another 2 months.
Awesome.
They are way behind. So now people even my aunt, she didn't get her stimulus check. She didn't get her refund. And there's nowhere for her to go. You try to go to the taxpayer advocate. There's a taxpayer advocate that their job is to keep the IRS in check.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're too far behind. On their website, they're like, listen, we're behind. What do people do that are trying to run a business?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And then we get the question of, so does this mean that audits will be a thing of the past?
No, there are going to be more of them. About 10 years ago, the IRS hired another 25,000 auditors. That was 10 years ago. A lot of the audits are actually done by machine now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they don't even need people to do them. They just do computer, you know, cross-reference, and they know everything.
Mm-hmm.
So the audits aren't going to go away. And that's why it's even more important to have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed.
Right. Yeah. And the system really is broken all the way around. I totally agree, Lee. It's just a minefield that your individual taxpayers and your small business owners are having to deal with. And Wiggins says, yet if life puts us behind, it's too bad we get served with extra pain with penalties and threats. Absolutely. Yeah. Our IRS agent told us today that he's at least 6 months behind. Yeah.
So, you know, the solution is you got to stick it out. You don't give up. If you're due a refund, you got to keep trying to call them. What I've been telling my
Mm-hmm.
clients is, if you get somebody on the phone, get their fax number.
Mm-hmm.
I think most of the people at the IRS, they have a private fax number. And then you can at least fax them, listen, I spoke to you and I want this resolved. Because later on, you might need that to say,
Mm-hmm.
I did everything I could to get my money, and I want it.
Right. Yeah, no, totally.
And a lot of people give up, Haley. A lot of people give up on it.
Yeah, no, I get it. And small business center counselors have been telling business owners to get and be prepared for audits, even if they took the PPP and the relief and grant programs, especially if they took them. Yeah, exactly. And this is why you're doing a workshop tomorrow, right, Joe?
Well, you know, originally we were going to talk just about, how the IRS changes are going to benefit people. And we're going to spend a lot of time, I got a lot of new content stuff on tax credits, creative out of the box ways to get credits on something like, we need to talk about this, about, making your website disabled. I forget what they call it, American Disabilities Act. If you make your website accessible to disabled people, that could qualify for a credit. And these are things that big companies always take advantage of, and small companies never really don't have the resources to find this stuff out. And so we're going to spend, a good amount of time on tax credits, the PPP loans, some of the new tax laws. You can take 100% of meals now. It used to be 50. And I think they said that that's only going to be for a year. There's so many changes. And
oh, yeah.
We just met with Elizabeth, right? And she was rattling off all the stuff about the stimulus payments. So I think I'm going to have her on for a couple of minutes because it's a moving target. It's
absolutely.
Really a moving target.
It's a disaster waiting for a place to happen. And unfortunately, what that means for a lot of small business owners, if you don't have an awesome CPA in your pocket, talk to Joe, find a CPA, get a CPA on board. Like, that's one of the biggest pieces of advice I give people right now is you need a CPA right now, because there's so many changes that are coming down the pike that are affecting our taxes, that are affecting our tax planning, audits left, right, and center. And yeah, good luck with that.
What you made some really great points in our meeting, and really you said it. It's about planning. It's about being prepared. And as a business owner, you're always prepared. I take it for granted. I'm always preparing. But when people go into business, they're busy. They preparing. That's like admin stuff. I don't have time for that. But it's the only way you're going to succeed in business. There is no other way.
Right.
When you talk to people that are successful, they have an accounting system. They have an accountant. You need an accountant if you're going to run a business. And there's millions and probably tens of millions of people that have businesses that don't have an accountant.
Right. Well, and the other thing here that's kind of worth pointing out is that, tax day comes each year, typically on April 15th. But one of the things that really concerns me is that I know most small business owners take all of their receipts and they put them in a shoebox and they hand it to their CPA in January. And I mean, it's always too late to be doing that, because if you want your CPA to be able to get you the best possible tax rates and you to not be paying taxes out your wazoo, you needed to have been planning that in March the previous year. But like right now, if you're not doing some of that planning, you're not going to get your PPPs, you're not going to get your loans, you're not going to get, any of your stuff forgiven. You're going to be stuck.
Yeah. And, I'm doing my mic fell. I'm doing a bunch of returns for people that didn't file for whatever reason. 18, 19. So now we're filing just to get them their stimulus payments. Some people didn't even realize, like I have a client, she had her father as a dependent a couple of years ago. And I said, well, what is he doing now? He didn't get his stimulus check because he never filed a return. Well, guess what? He had income last year and we're filing a return. He's going to get what? He's going to get like over $3,000.
Right. And I'm hearing that from a lot of people who have, deliberately put off doing their tax returns and then they didn't get their stimulus checks. And I mean, that's a big deal, especially if you're a small business owner. That's a lot of money.
So I'm coming across, because I changed the nature of my practice. I work mostly with very brand new business owners, and it's like they're in shock when they find out what they have to do, because there are things you have to do as a business owner. And
yeah. Now you're doing.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, you're doing a workshop tomorrow on all of this stuff. So what is the workshop you're doing tomorrow?
So we're going to be talking about, one of my favorite subjects, which is increasing your cash flow. And the way that we're going to do that is through, making sure that you have all the money that you can possibly get from the stimulus payments. So I'll give you one example. One of my friends, Lisa Rodino, is an expert on these PPP loans. There's not too many experts out there because it changes every day. It changes every day. And what I've learned through Lisa is that they changed the rules for the new PPP, and you can go back to like 2019. So if you had a Schedule C in 2019, a lot more people are qualifying for the credits that didn't qualify before. Okay. There's new EI. You can still get an EIDL loan. That's another way.
That's amazing.
I'm gonna talk about solving what seems like complex tax situations that are really simple. They're complicated for people that only came across them for the first time. And that's the point. New business owners, you have a skill. You can do websites. You want to do coaching, whatever. But you still got to have what I do. You still got to have what I do, right, Haley?
Absolutely, yeah. You still got to have a CPA in place who understands the financial pieces of the business. I mean, I hear a lot of, business coaches out there, but there's not really that focus on, be like one of the Amazons or Walmarts of the world where you're keeping more money in your pocket and you're focusing on driving your taxes down and doing that. But it takes planning and strategy and doing all these things. And it's hard as a small business owner to know what to do and what not to do and how to do it and what all the tricks are. And I mean, we can post all the tips in the world on our social media, but nothing will make up for.
No. So you could tell people what to do, or you could show them, right? And what my team and I have learned over the last, year, I guess, working with new business owners, I could give them all the instructions in the world in an email, and it goes right over there. And I know that because people send me long emails with instructions, and it goes right over my head too, right?
TLDR.
So one of the things that we do is, like with this webinar, this is one of the reasons why we do these workshops, is to show people this is how we do it. This is why we do it this way. And once people understand, then they can follow, then they know what they didn't know. Right? We're showing them what they don't know. And it's really not that complicated.
Absolutely.
At least not to me.
Totally. Yeah, no. And I mean, that's why you hire a CPA who knows what they're doing to do your taxes. And I'm going to, take the bull by the horns, because a lot of people want to hire like your H&R Blocks. Somebody who's had like 2 hours of training to do their taxes.
So H&R Block actually isn't that bad. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
You're not going to get audited if you have H&R Block to your tax return.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because they make you bring down every receipt. They're going to make you substantiate every deduction. And that's why they're H&R Block.
Right.
They're not going to risk anything. But they're just tax preparers.
Right. And that's the difference.
They're not accountants. So if you have a W-2, and they're not cheap either. They're not cheap. But it's better than doing it yourself. Okay. It's much better to go to an H&R Block than to do it yourself, because if you do it yourself, you're more likely to get audited. And these are some of the things that new business owners don't know. When I show them the statistics, and this is why, and I start showing them on the tax forms, this little box, if you push it, they're going to like flag you. So once you know this once, though, once you go through it, you're like, okay, I won't do that again. It's like if you're a little kid, you put your hand on a hot stove, right?
Or you touch the wet paint. Wet paint. Let me see if it's really wet.
Yeah, well, the wet paint is bad, but the stove, you get pain. You get pain.
Yeah,
the IRS dishes out a lot of pain. Another thing that I'm pointing out to people is the IRS is actually the biggest collection agency in the world.
Oh, and they're going to get their money.
Their mission is to make sure that everybody is filing, everybody's paying, and everybody is acting like good little boys and girls. Okay? And they have the technology now to do it. It's really kind of scary, Haley. It's kind of scary because of they have all this information, right? But yet they want us to provide it again to them, if that makes any sense.
Oh, absolutely.
So they know about your 1099s, but if you don't report all your 1099s on your return, you're going to get a letter. Okay. Somebody asked me the other day, they said, if they have all this information, why do we even have to bother filing a return? And I said, you're probably right.
Well, they're hoping that you had other stuff that wasn't reported on 1099s, or they're going to catch you in a lie.
And that's the crux of a lot of the questions that they ask you on your returns. And another thing that people don't realize is that the IRS has actually made us like their police, tax preparers, because we got to answer a whole bunch of new questions when our clients are getting any kind of like tax credits, like an earned income credit, education credits, and now if I don't answer these questions correctly, the IRS could fine me. But they audit CPAs also, which is, so that's another thing I'm going to cover tomorrow, because there's a lot of bad CPA firms out there, not just CPA firms, tax preparers. And I've seen, the last couple of years with all these new business owners, I'm seeing a lot of other tax preparers work.
Oh, I'm sure.
Some of them are actually criminal. I've had a client come to me and he told me how his CPA told him how to cash checks so that he wouldn't get caught. That's not what a CPA is supposed to be doing.
That doesn't seem like that's kind of the right thing for a CPA to be doing. Not when, you have other legal means, to work on, tax planning strategies and deductions and other things to avoid taxes.
The people I work with usually get in trouble because they just didn't know something. They didn't know that they had to file a form. They didn't know that they had to be registered.
Mm-hmm.
So I sort of like went on a mission about 2 years ago with this to try to, I just thought it was wrong that there's a lot of bad information out there. And I didn't understand why people go into business and don't hire an accountant. I honestly didn't understand that because it just came naturally to me.
Mm-hmm.
I actually became an accountant because I wanted to go into business. I didn't say, oh, I want to do tax returns the rest of my life. I wanted to learn about what business was.
Right.
And here I am, 30 something years later, I'm still doing tax returns.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. Yeah. And I think a lot of times people assume that working with a CPA is expensive.
And a lot of times it is. And we solved that problem. We have a bookkeeping, a CFO package that starts at $47 a month.
That's just amazing.
Yeah. And it works and we make money with it. I'm in business to make a profit, but we have all this technology, Haley. We have systems.
How do we make sure we get it?
Access to talent all over the world,
Mm-hmm.
And then it becomes, how do we process this? So we created a system. We have these bookkeeping processes
mm-hmm.
that are we try to make it as simple as possible for people that never had to do this before.
Absolutely. I love it.
It's got to be painful. I understand that. It's like, you need what?
Mm-hmm.
What you need that? And how you need this every month? Oh my God, what did I get into?
Mm-hmm.
But once you get it, it just becomes part of the running a business, right?
Right. This is the unsexy stuff, but it's, in some ways it's the most sexy part because you're making money and you're keeping more of that money in your pocket. And to me, anything that allows me to keep more money in my pocket or do more with the money I'm making is where I'm at.
So you want to hear something?
I work hard for my money, so I'm like, yeah, I'm going to keep as much as I can.
Yeah, yes, you want to keep it. So last night I have a new client. We did a bunch of work for him. We got his books up to date. And I said, usually I go through my dues and subscriptions every month. I look at my credit cards. I'm like, you spend a lot of money. And he's like, I do? On what? So I go into the books and I print them out as meals and entertainment. I think they're having some serious discussions today in their house about that. But, we do this and we find money. Well, every month I find a subscription that I ordered and I didn't use. It's when, you're in business.
Absolutely. Yeah. The subscriptions are one of those like insidious little things that like eat you alive.
Oh, the worst ones are, I had some annual subscriptions and they automatically renew.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, then you got to fight with the software vendor. So I got, we have a whole thing with, I look at what our clients are spending.
Yeah, it's important. And to keep track of all this stuff and, do it. So guys, register for the workshop tomorrow. It is going to be amazing. It is going to be worth your time. Seriously. I mean, because this stuff is important. Keeping more money in your pocket is something I feel passionately about. And it's not something I really speak about, but it is definitely Joe's wheelhouse.
Yeah. And what's going to be fun, the last one we did, we had a bunch of people, they stayed till the end and we got a lot of great questions at the end.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm hoping. I want to, I want this to be interactive. I don't want to just, go through my slides. I hope that people will show up and ask us some, mind-bending questions.
Yep.
Okay, what's this?
It says, I'm a CPA and worked for H&R Block decades ago. Summer enroller agent and get a lot of training similar to a CPA. Unfortunately, most preparers get less get let loose after a 2-hour course. They are trained to process returns as fast as possible. I tried giving tax planning suggestions to clients and was told to stop. The average customer doesn't want tax planning. They just want their money as fast as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, that's normal. Wage earners that just they pay in, they overpay to the government, and they want their refund. I get that. When you're a small business owner, you usually get into a whole different category. You don't want to pay in. You don't want to get a refund because you're only getting back your own money unless you get a credit. But that's pretty interesting that they actually told him to stop.
I can believe that.
It might also be for legal purposes. They don't want to give advice, maybe.
Yep. No, I get it.
Yeah.
It could be that you're spending too much time on it. So move on to the next one. Keep moving, keep moving, keep moving.
Yeah, they're data processors. That's what they are.
Yep, absolutely.
For the most part, I don't, there's probably a lot of great people that work for H&R Block, very talented. But like I said, if you want to just get your return prepared, then they're fine.
Yep, totally.
If you're in business, you don't want to go to H&R Block.
Yeah, I get it. Well, guys, register for the workshop tomorrow. We're about out of time for today, but this is amazing, Joe. Thank you for hopping on with me today.
Okay, thank you, Haley. Thank you for all your help and support. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care. Have a good night, and we'll see you soon.